Good afternoon, friends. How are you today? It's a dreary and rainy day today. I secretly love those days. So I thought that today would be a great day to share with you the sunflowers that I'm growing in 2024. It's going to be sunflower season before we know it. Sunflowers are a huge part of my business as a flower farmer. And so I wanted to share with you the ones that I'm growing this year. These have kind of become staples for me. I am going to talk about the single stem series that I grow for commercial use, and I'll talk about branching sunflowers as well. And then at the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit about how I personally grow them, and you can ask any questions you have in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond. Not that I'm an expert, but you never know. Of course, before you can grow sunflowers, you need to get seeds. So where do I get my seeds? Well, about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I was watching Serena at You Can't Eat the Grass, and she talked about a company called Sunflower Selections where she gets her seeds. So I went and checked them out, and they have an amazing variety. They've got all the Pro Cut series, which is what flower farmers grow for the most part, and they also have a whole bunch of others and some that they've bred themselves. And so I get all of my sunflower seeds from them, except for and this is going to change in the future. I still will get a lot of my Pro Cut series and stuff, but for specialty sunflowers that don't exist anywhere else, I get them from Sunflower Steve. Now, this is his Van Gogh Fantasy Mix. I have one packet here that hasn't been opened yet. These are highly prized because they are still coming onto the market. So Steve, Sunflower Steve, I will put links below, but you should follow him on Instagram. You can sign up for his newsletter. I think right now he's still accepting pre-orders for this amazing set of sunflowers. He has bred these over, I think it's been almost 30 years that he's been working on this breeding program. And so this is a mix. You get their doubles. So you get all these amazing colors, sometimes in the same flower. Just incredible. You can't get these seeds anywhere else. He has been working with Aaron Benzacane at Floret to get his seed program up and running. So he's doing a pre-sale right now. I don't know how many are left, but I just ordered 4 packets. I would order way more, but I want there to be some for other people out there. And they will ship in, I think in March, he said, the end of March. So that is those are very, very special. They are pollenless. This is something that's really important for flower farmers. And one of the reasons we all use the Pro Cut series. Sunflowers, as you may know, drop a lot of pollen, and that pollen can stain. It's the same with lilies, right? Lots of pollen, and it can stain your fabrics and your tables, etc. So we like to grow the Pro Cut series, and Sunflower Steve's flowers do the same thing for us. They're pollenless. They don't drop pollen on your customers' tables and furniture and all that kind of stuff because there is no pollen. So that's why we grow the Pro Cut series. So for me, the Pro Cut series that I grow now, in addition to Steve's amazing sunflowers, these are single stem sunflowers. In other words, you plant one seed, it sends up one big stem, and they're generally between 4 and 6, sometimes 8 feet tall. It depends on the variety. And they come in a variety of colors. So I plant a variety so I can have them all available. Big, strong stems. Those are the kind that are they're huge. These are flowers, single stem sunflowers are flowers that you do not want to pinch when they are young, meaning you don't want to, so there's some types of flowers out there that we recommend pinching. They are branching varieties like zinnias, for instance. If you pinch those, or sweet peas, if you pinch off the growing tips when they're young, when they're about 6 inches high, you'll get more branching, therefore more stems, therefore more flowers. For single stem flowers, you never want to do that or you won't have a flower. So just keep that in mind and make sure you check before you do any pinching. So the varieties I'm growing, I will put pictures here. These All these photos come from Sunflower Selections, so I'm giving them all the photo credit goes to Sunflower Selections. I'll link their website below, so you can visit them and buy packets for yourself. So the first one in the list here is Horizon. This is a really cool sunflower because it is upward facing. It has an upward facing head. So it's got a traditional dark center and it's got orange petals around it. But most sunflowers you see have heads facing like this, forward, right? Which is beautiful, but when you're building a bouquet, like a market bouquet, and it's wrapped in paper and all that, and all the flowers are kind of a mound on top, having an upward facing sunflower is so cool. It's really great. So Horizon, that's the one I'm growing for that. Then next we have Peach. Now these are all Pro Cut. So Pro Cut, Horizon, Pro Cut, Peach. Peach, it's a dark center with it's a really delicate, almost not see-through, but sort of, pastel peach petals. So it's really, really cool. And depending on the light that it's in, it can be slightly different shades of peach. Then the next one is Double Quick. It's called Double because it is a double flower. So really frilly center petals with more on the outside. There was a lot of petals in this sunflower. It's also the earliest single stem variety out there. So it's really great to put in the field so that you can have, your first flush of flowers really quickly. Then I have Red Lemon Bicolor. Now this one's really cool. It's got a dark center, traditional dark center, and then the petals are very red close to the center, and then as they move out from the center and the petals, they kind of fade to like a lemon yellow on the ends. So it's a really interesting sunflower. It's great for later season, like fall types of arrangements and stuff, because it starts to bring in those fall colors. Then I have two staples that I grow almost the whole season. I have White Night and White Light. Both of them have these like very kind of vanilla white petals. Not crisp white, but like a vanilla-y color. And then the White Night has a dark center, whereas the White Light has a kind of yellowy, greenish center surrounded by the white petals. So it's really cool. Then I have just plain Pro Cut Orange. This is a very quick flowering variety. It's a classic orange sunflower with a dark disc and then bright orange petals. Then I have Orange XL. So it's also an orange flower. It looks a lot like the one I just talked about, but it's slightly faster to flower than the one I just talked about. And it has those upright heads. So it's really, really cool. Another nice addition. Upright heads like Horizon and Orange XL are special. They're hard to find. And so I like growing those two varieties. Then we have Lemon. Lemon is a true soft lemon color with a dark center. And then Gold Light DMR. DMR stands for Downy Mildew Resistant, and Sunflower Selection sells a lot of the DMR varieties from Pro Cut. This is a light green and gold center, which is really cool because some people like that instead of the dark centers, with very bright gold petals. And then the final Pro Cut flower I'm growing is Red. And this has a dark burgundy center with dark red petals, burgundy red petals. And that one I usually grow towards the end of the season. So that was the single stem varieties that I'm growing. Now we're moving into branching varieties. The branching varieties I grow for my customers and for my own personal use. So branching sunflowers, meaning there's more than one stem. So I have a program that I run in early spring where people can buy, it's basically like a vegetable garden in a box or flower garden in a box, and I have a sunflower curation collection. And so basically, if customers who purchase those get a box full of seedlings from me that are ready to go into the garden, and so that I've grown from seed and they're ready to go in the garden. So these are the flowers, the sunflowers that I include in that sunflower collection. The first one I haven't grown yet. It's called Chianti. It is pollenless, which is great, unusual for branching flowers, sunflowers. It's got really deep red, purple petals and a center, and the stems are purple as well. So it sounds really cool. It is the height, it's the size of a regular pro-cut sunflower, so it's a big one, 4 to 6 feet tall. This is not like a tiny one that you would put in a pot. I do have some of those. Then I have lemon sorbet, which is the branching variety of the pro-cut lemon. So it's got that very delicate lemon flower, but it is still 4 to 6 feet tall. It's just that it's branching. Then I have Junior. This one's a favorite. It is a miniature sunflower. It's only about 1 to 2 feet high. It's really great for containers or for the front of a border. It's very fast flowering and it's super easy to grow. It's got a brown center and then little yellow petals. They're very, very precious. And then Golden Cheer. This is 3 to 4 stems with a really light green face and double yellow orange petals. If you pinch this one when it's young, like maybe 6, well, so with sunflowers, they tend to get really tall before they have too many leaves. So I would say with sunflowers, if you're going to pinch the branching varieties, wait until they have multiple sets of true leaves. But if you pinch this one when it's young, you'll get more stems. And it has really good base life, which is not as typical for branching sunflowers. The single stem sunflowers have really long base life, but branching ones tend to have shorter base life. However, a Golden Cheer is one that lasts a long time in the vase. Then I have Starburst Lemon Eclair. This is a dark chocolate center with double orange and yellow, well, orange yellow, yellow orange. I don't know, those are actually two different colors, petals, but you can tell by the picture. This is something we're going to talk about in a minute, but tight spacing here equals a single stem flower. If you give them more space, they'll branch and give you more stems. So I'll talk about that in a minute here. Finally, for branching sunflowers, I have one called Orange Hobbit. This is a dark center with intense orange petals on a small and compact plant. It's really bushy. It's only 1 to 2 feet high. It's great, again, for like the front of a border. I used it in one of my flower gardens last year as the front of the border, and it was so precious. It was really cute. It had tons of flowers in it. You can use it in pots, create a whole knee-high hedge. It's just a really cute flower. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to talk a bit here about how I grow sunflowers. They're pretty easy to grow, as you can imagine. For pro-cuts, I actually sow pro-cuts on a weekly basis. And this year, with more space, I'll probably sow around 100 a week. And I'll do that from the end of March to the end of August. Basically every week sowing sunflowers. Now at the beginning of the season, when it's still cold outside, I sow them in the greenhouse in like 72 trays, 72 plug trays, and then I'll transplant them out. Later, as we get warmer, I'll just direct sow in the field. However, you know, sunflowers and birds love sunflower seeds. So what I do with the transplants, they also love sunflower leaves. They'll pick apart a sunflower plant when it's young. So what I do is when I transplant or direct sow, I cover that row with floating row cover and hammer it down real well until they're about a foot tall. Then I can take off the cover and be sure that they'll survive any bird attacks. They still get sun and you know, plenty of water underneath that row cover, so it's not like it makes them suffer. It just keeps the birds off of them. So when I transplant or direct sow, my spacing is super tight. It's only about 4 to 5 inches. Now, spacing in sunflowers is a really interesting thing. This works with some other flowers as well, but sunflowers in particular, the closer you space your sunflowers, especially your single stem sunflowers, the smaller the heads will be. So you can control the size of the head that you grow based on how closely you space your transplants. You know, I like it 4 to 5 inches apart is about right for me, where that gives me like a sunflower head about this size. Much bigger than that, I mean, those jumbo ones are really cool, and I still sometimes get some of those, but they're really hard to put into bouquets, especially market bouquets. They're great for if you're growing for a specific event and you want big, huge ones. absolutely. But the smaller ones are much easier to work with in bouquets, so something to consider. Once the plants are growing, I fertilize weekly. I alternate each week between fish emulsion, and then the next week will be compost tea that I make from worm compost. So that is a weekly thing throughout the entire growing season. That's actually for all of my plants, flowers and veggies and everything, but that's how I do the sunflowers. Harvest. For wholesale customers, meaning I'm gonna drive this bucket of flowers to the wholesaler, you wanna harvest when the sunflower petal is just lifting off, when the first petal is just lifting off the center. So they're still gonna be really tightly closed. Once you harvest, they're gonna start to open pretty rapidly. So to give your customer the longest vase life, and if they're going to the wholesaler, they're gonna need a long vase life because it's still gonna be a couple days maybe before the customer actually gets it. You harvest them when the petal is just starting to lift off the center. Now for my CSA customers, I still want to give them a long vase life, but I also want them to see these flowers when they pick them up and not just see bunched heads. So I do wait a couple of days for them to be a little bit more open. So it's more like this, not like this yet. And then I harvest sunflowers into buckets with a CVBN tab, which is a little tiny tablet. It's really, really small, but it's basically a chlorine-based tablet. And what that does is it keeps the water clean. Sunflowers are notoriously dirty. They bring algae and all kinds of crap to the water, and it makes it really cloudy and nasty, and it can actually kill other flowers, not because of anything pathogenic in there, but just because the water gets so nasty and gummy, and then they can't take it up through their stoma. So CVBN tablets, really important in those super dirty flowers like sunflowers, to put that in the water. It also gives them a much longer vase life to do that. So the final thing I want to say is the branching sunflowers. Like I said, I make a tray of them for my customers who want to buy them. Those go to them when they're about this big. I start them in plug trays, and then I transplant them into biodegradable cow pots so that they can put them directly into their garden, or they can remove the pot if they want. But that way everything is biodegradable for them. So that's a wrap up on my 2024 sunflowers. If you have any questions or want to tell me what you are growing sunflower-wise this year, I would love to hear it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and maybe check out Sunflower Selections and see what they've got. They have so many varieties, you'll just love it. And definitely go to Sunflower Steve's website, linked below, see if he's still available, if he still has the Van Gogh Fantasy Mix available for pre-order. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.